people use steroids and they know there's negative side effects. Case in point, Mike Israetel. And that it causes anger,
anxiety,
and rage. Yet Mike is still using them. Coach Greg, in today's video, we're talking about SARMs. Mike Israetel, he made a video saying that SARMs are more dangerous than steroids, that they don't actually work that well, and that you shouldn't use them. And he's basing this on the fact that he talked to a bro who told him that he doesn't use them. Mike read a lot of studies, but he hasn't actually used them or coached people how to use them in the real world. I am here to correct him. Remember, I used to make the majority of my videos about SARMs, steroids, peptides, growth hormone, and so on. For those of you who want old school Coach Greg, well, you got him.
SARMs are compounds that are supposed to act on the same receptors that natural testosterone that's produced in your very own ovaries or testicle of some combination of both that you have.
And so the brief rundown of SARMs is that they basically do what steroids do, but they're not supposed to have as many negative side effects.
Because they're selectively targeting an androgen receptor, they're going to target the androgen receptors in other cells of the body that cause side effects and health problems substantially less.
And so steroids target the androgen receptor in your skeletal muscle, like the biceps, quads, and so on, making those bigger, but they also target other receptors. For example, your prostate or perhaps your hair. You don't want to lose your hair and you don't want an enlarged prostate. The promise with SARMs is that they build muscle without as many of the negative side effects. That is, of course, what everyone wants. And what Mike failed to mention in his video is that there's another factor, the main factor, more than anything else. Remember, people use steroids and they know there's negative side effects. Case in point, Mike Israetel. Bro knows a lot about science. Bro knows that steroids make you dumber, that they cause heart attacks, strokes, and so on, and that it causes anger,
anxiety,
and rage. Yet Mike is still using them.
What? What the fuck?
But here's the thing. SARMs have a loophole. They're not actually legal. They're not supposed to be used by humans, but they're legal to purchase. And so, unlike Canada, where it's legal to have steroids, in countries like the United States, it's actually illegal. And so what are the chances that guys with millions of followers are going to make YouTube videos saying, hey, I'm on Test, Trend, Halo, Equipoise, Deca, and so on, when it's not legal? Wouldn't be the smartest thing to do now, would it? But in Canada, we're actually allowed. It's not illegal. Now, of course, you can't sell it, and so do not ever break any laws, but it's legal to actually use this. And so if you are, for example, in the United States, which most people watching my videos are, they can use SARMs and not break any laws. And so that is why people are using SARMs. They type it on Google and they can buy it delivered to their door. In comparison, steroids are a lot harder to get. And so it's not truly the fact that steroids are more dangerous. It's the fact that they can get SARMs legally delivered to their homes.
That means the receptors in your nervous system, including your brain, get targeted, which gives you aggression and anxiety and increased stupidity and all those other great things about steroids that everyone loves so much.
And so notice, Mike is on steroids. He's not even competing anymore, yet he's still on steroids. And you might be thinking, no, he said he was going to go off. Bro also said he was going to slim down to a svelte 190 pounds, yet he's gone up in weight to 237. Does he act any different to you? Does he look like a guy who's suddenly gone natural? I don't think so. Oh, and maybe you're thinking, no, but it's just HRT. Yeah, right. So is Alex Eubank.
If you could just have a molecule that targeted the muscular component a ton, but everything else much less, man, you would really have something. And in the hypothetical, this is an amazing thing.
And so I hate to break it to you. I hate to be correct in all of this. But if you don't want to use testosterone and you don't want to use SARMs, you don't want all this horrible blood work, you can always use Turkesterone, but remember, if you're not getting it from your T-plug, Coach Greg, then it's likely not actually Turkesterone. You want the stuff from Uzbekistan. It ain't laced with anything. This is the real deal. We've got third-party testing to prove it, and if you use it and you don't notice it, you don't feel it, you don't whatever it, money back guarantee. Not only that, a $20 gift card to say thank you just for trying it. How many people can say that?
Most anabolic androgenic steroids, including testosterone, increase your sex drive. You're in a shopping mall and all of a sudden you have your pants down and you're touching yourself.
I've never had difficulties with increased sex drive from testosterone, SARMs, and so on. It's not been an issue. And so most people who have an increased sex drive, I tell you, you just need to Greg your Doucette. Do it! It's okay.
The judge says a lot worse things and says you can't stay at your house anymore and we have to take all of your money away. You have to be in a room with new friends for 10 years. But it's a nice place to stay, I always said. And there you can get your cock out anytime you want, no problem.
It's pretty difficult to put into words.
It's not normal to talk like this. Mike, we've had enough. We don't need the latent homosexual comments in every single video.
Unless you're trying to go to jail for sex crimes, maybe the high sex drive is not the most fun thing in the world to experience.
And remember, Mike is not just a chill guy who likes to jerk with other men.
He does seem like a genuine guy.
Mike is a guy who says Coach Greg is a sociopath while he fantasizes about breaking people's leg with a baseball bat since he was a little child.
Greg Doucette, two-faced, lying sociopath.
Not such a chill guy after all.
And scale for scale, these things didn't grow hardly as much muscle as anabolic steroids did.
I literally compared these. I compared taking Anavar to taking Rad 140. And what did I notice? I tied my world record in the bench press while only taking Rad 140 and MK677, a growth hormone secretagogue. And so consider that I bench pressed with a pause, 529 pounds, while taking SARMs. Does that not say how potent it actually is? And so in comparison, do you really think that I would have bench pressed 529 pounds while taking some Winstrol, some Anavar, D-ball only? I don't think so. And so what you know is that in the real world, in the hundreds of people that I've coached, they are in fact just as effective or more than many of the so-called steroids.
Unfortunately, if you took the SARMs, which were underpowered for muscle growth, the amount of side effects you get on an absolute scale, they were not nearly as good as hoped for, unfortunately.
And so he says, unfortunately, with the SARMs, which are underpowered for muscle growth, 529 pounds. Now remember, I took my blood work at said time, and it was in fact better than when I was taking testosterone, tren, and so on. Way better. I benched the same amount while taking testosterone, tren, and so on as I did while taking SARMs. The same amount. The same amount. The same amount.
SARMs ended up being kind of like roughly the equivalent of oral androgenic steroids like Anavar, otherwise known as Oxandrolone.
Well, it all depends. Something like Osterine, very similar to Anavar, but there are several SARMs much stronger than Anavar. For example, Rad 140 and LGD 4033 are far stronger than Anavar. Now, I'm not saying they don't come without any unwanted side effects, but they do in fact work far better than even Anavar.
They had high dosage requirements, so their side effect profiles ended up being pretty comparable to drugs like Anavar.
If your coach is telling you to take, for example, 10 milligrams of LGD 4033 in comparison to 10 milligrams of Anavar, the LGD is far stronger and very dangerous. And so if you're, for example, a women's bikini competitor, and many of you are hiring famous coaches saying, I promise you are going to turn pro. Yeah, maybe, but at what expense? Remember, these SARMs can also cause unwanted virilization, in particular in females with the voice, acne, and so on. Use at your own discretion. Remember, the higher the dose, the greater the consequences.
Top pro bodybuilders and their coaches, they're the first. If it works, they'll use it. If it doesn't quite work, they just don't bother with it.
I use them. I coach people to use them. And so I'm not here to bullshit you. Remember, I'm honest, open, and transparent, and I'm telling you I use them. I'm telling you clients use them. I'm telling you that athletes, even to this day, are still using them to turn IFBB pro.
One guy that you should almost certainly follow, Joe at Physique Collective and on Instagram, and he's super smart guy from the United Kingdom, coaches tons of top pros. And I talked to him extensively about SARMs, and he was like, he just gave me one of these. He was like, we don't really use it.
And so he talked to Joe, and Joe from another country said, well, he doesn't use them, and so clearly they don't work. Too bad that Mike Israetel can't put his ego aside and contact Coach Greg. Someone who's both an IFBB pro, unlike Mike Israetel, and has coached multiple athletes to the IFBB pro stage.
Study after study has shown that something like as many as 50% of SARMs you can buy in the market either have SARMs and some other shit in it, and that other shit's almost always just oral steroids like Anavar, Dianabol, or something like that.
And so the studies that I showed was that approximately 33%, 1/3 of SARMs are not actually real. They're buying fake and or bunk products. Of course, that is something to be mindful. If you're getting SARMs, etc., off the black market, from the internet, or bro at the gym, you don't know what you're actually getting. But the same can be said about steroids. How many of you actually think that when bro sells you Anavar at the gym, that it's guaranteed it's Anavar? That he would never rip you off?
They just have oral steroids and there are no actual SARMs, or they just have some bullshit in there that's neither one of them and you ain't gonna get any.
You know how often people are going to sell you Anavar and instead of Anavar, they're selling you a SARM. Why? Because it's very easy to get SARMs. SARMs aren't illegal. And so consider this, your plug is selling you steroids. How do you know that guy isn't selling you SARMs and marking it as steroids? Easy to get SARMs, probably cheaper. And so what's preventing them from selling you a bottle of Rad 140 and calling it Anavar? You ever think about that? Or what are the chances that they tell you it's Anavar, but it's actually Winstrol? Remember, it's way more expensive to purchase Anavar than it is Winstrol. So how do you know you're getting what you're paying for?
If you have a source for legit, even just black market gear, like black market Anavar, that's probably a better bet than SARMs if you actually are getting what you actually are getting.
Does anyone know a guy named Nick Talker? Nick Walker, if you will? Anyone know that guy? Well, rumor has it that he dropped out of the Mr. Olympia because he was sold bunk gear. This is a top 3 Mr. Olympia competitor. And so if a top 3 Mr. Olympia competitor can be sold bunk gear, what are the chances that you might? Just because you have a good source doesn't mean it's actually a good source. Does that make sense? And so the same reasoning can be applied to not using steroids as it is for not using SARMs. You don't know what you're getting. Okay, that is why you should be getting it from a pharmacy, from a legit source, where a doctor can monitor you. Transcend is an HRT clinic. They're going to get your blood work and see exactly what you need. Do you need HRT? Do you need testosterone? What else might you need? Would you benefit from peptides, BPC 157, TB 500, or perhaps tesamorelin? Or perhaps IGF-1? Or do you need a semaglutide, something to curb your craving, something to help prevent you from getting type 2 diabetes? And so if you're interested in getting HRT, peptides, and so on from a legitimate source, not from some black market site or bro at the gym, which is very often going to be fake, then please click the link in the description and go with Transcend.
Some labs fake gear. Fake gear is a thing. Much less now than it used to be 5 or 10 years ago.
What is he talking about? How would he know this? Nick Walker, 2024, pulls out of the friggin' Olympia because he's using bunk gear. And so let's let that sink in. If top Mr. Olympia competitors are getting bunk gear, then don't you think that you also could be getting bunk gear?
Folks use SARMs thinking they are ducking steroids.
And they are. They are ducking steroids because oftentimes people are going to say, are you on steroids? And if you're on SARMs, you can say, no, I'm not on steroids. Also, steroids have obviously clearly got a very bad rep. Ever since Major League Baseball cracked down on Barry Bonds and so on, people are very much opposed to athletes using steroids, but not so much about SARMs. And so if you're dating a girl and she's saying, hey, are you on steroids? And you say, no, I'm on Ostrine, Rad 140, LGD. I'm on enclomiphene. People are taking various things that aren't steroids because it allows them to give the illusion that they're still natural. For most people, as soon as you mention a needle, as soon as you have to inject, people are like, wow, I can't believe you would do that. And so if you, for example, tell somebody, I'm on testanethate, I inject once a week, they're going to think, you inject something? Oh my God. In comparison, if you say, yeah, I'm just on Rad 140, I'm just using 30 milligrams a day, no big deal. Despite the fact that the testosterone is probably much safer, especially considering it's likely prescribed by your doctor. For example, I'm on HRT, clearly injecting testosterone. I do believe that that is much safer than me using SARMs. And my blood work right now is better than it's been in well over 10 years.
A lot of these drugs suppress your natural testosterone production. Fellas, let me tell you, you take SARMs for 8 weeks, you're going to get some gains. Of course they work, right?
Yes, but if you take steroids, your testosterone levels are also going to go down, but normally even much more so than when you take SARMs. I've coached hundreds of people who have done the same. And so I'm telling you, if you use testosterone, for example, for 8 weeks in comparison to Rad 140 or Ostrine, your testosterone levels are going to be lower than when you're taking testosterone. And the time it takes for you to recover are going to be far longer. And so many people who are using SARMs, for example, for 8 weeks, especially in lower doses, yes, it lowers your testosterone, but it normally bounces back within several weeks. Now, of course, it could be beneficial to add in a PCT, for example, in clomiphene or Nolvadex or perhaps HCG or a combination of these, but SARMs, for the most part, are less suppressive than most steroids.
So then the question is, what do you have now as far as things that help you grow muscle?
You have turkesterone. This is not going to lower your testosterone. It's not going to negatively affect your blood work. And it is, in fact, going to work. And so if you hit your natural genetic limit, you're looking for an edge, an advantage over your competitors. You can use turkesterone and you're not breaking any natty code. It's not banned by WADA. You can use it in drug-tested sporting competitions such as the Olympics, bodybuilding competitions, and so on. And so why not try turkesterone? Why not? Money back guarantee. Perhaps you're a non-responder. It doesn't affect you as much as it does me and many of the people who are using it. Well, you get your money back and a $20 gift card. And so what do you have to lose? You could be buying SARMs. You might not even be getting what you're paying for. It might be fake. You might lower your testosterone levels, and it will, in fact, affect your blood work. Turkesterone will not. Now, remember, if you are, in fact, buying turkesterone from our competitors, I can't guarantee it's legit. And for the most part, I can almost guarantee that it is not. And so ask them. Ask them to show you third-party testing. Ask them, where do you get it from? China? Probably. And so if you see, buy 2, get 2 free. Massive discounts. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people are buying turkesterone? Because they've watched my video, they know that it works. And so they're looking for the best deal, and other competitors are selling it cheaper. Remember, I've seen these competitors. I've seen their prices. I've contacted them, tested their products. It's fake. And so, yeah, I can buy turkesterone that's fake for 3 times less than I'm paying for it now. But I'm not going to scam you. Other supplement companies, no problem. They're making a killing, selling it on Amazon and so on. But it's not real. And so if you want the real turkesterone from Uzbekistan, you have to get it from Coach Greg. Code Greg, 15% off. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Like the video if you liked it. Watch one of those 2 bloops. And of course, the cookbooks, training books, coaching plans by me and my team, the Circle Diet book, the Harder Than Last Time clothing line. You get it all on the website. You want a free diet and training program to get you started, giving away over 100,000 of these. Get to my website. I have over 400,000 newsletter subscribers. And until next time, I am out.